Hello, welcome to Dark Souls Remastered SL1 any percent speedrun. My name is Commander Ake. I've run Dark Souls Remastered any percent in the past. I currently run the Prepare to Die version of this game. I've been doing so for about 8 months now, so I'm excited to be doing this. This is actually take 2. We've done one attempt at this, but the frame rate was kind of terrible and we couldn't see anything. And so thankfully, RTA In Japan gave altf4 one more shot at this. And so far, it looks like the frame rate's a lot better. So I'm hoping that it will lead for a better viewing experience and hopefully one that makes a little more sense given the commentary that we give. I also want to mention I'll be joined by Zellison. He's just getting a few things ready, so he should be here hopefully before the run starts. He will do a proper introduction of himself, but he's helped me a lot learn about what the route is and just how the game works from a speedrun's perspective. So, if it weren't for him or the rest of the community, I would not be here spewing out random stuff about this game to you in 30 minutes. So shout out to the Speed Souls community and Zellison, of course. Looks like he's doing some test runs. This is definitely not the run. Can I talk about before? So for anyone who is wondering what SL1 actually is, it means Soul Level 1. And so that basically means that it's a regular any percent run, except for the constraint that we can't level up in health, stamina, can't increase our dexterity or strength, none of that. And so what you'll see is the run's actually very similar to any percent runs or routes, but we actually have to spend the first 5 minutes or so getting a pyromancy flame and making sure that's upgraded and strong enough to kill the bosses and get through the game in about, hopefully, 25 minutes. And so that's essentially what the run's going to be. altf4 is the world record holder for this category, also for regular any percent. And so he is very well established in the community, and he's a very good player. And so we're both excited to see him do this again. What's the Dark Souls story? Never understood it. Yeah, good question. Basically, you know what? I'm a speedrunner, so I have no reason to know. The joke is that you basically have to learn about the game lore by reading item descriptions, which nobody does really, so can't say I know for sure. Nelson, you are here, right?
Yes.
I can't actually hear you. That's why I was talking over you. Hold on. There we go. Can I hear you now?
Let's see.
Perfect. Okay, so I was probably speaking over you for the last 2 seconds there. I'm sorry.
I was silent, ready for you to explain what's going on here while I was left. So what's up?
Looks like we're just about to get started. I mean, they're doing introductions. He did some tests running around, so and the frame rate looks better, so we should be ready for it. Yep. Yeah, so for those of you who heard us last time, you're going to hear us talk about the game again. He's going to do the exact same run, and so this might be a little bit of deja vu, but again, hopefully the frame rate will lead for an overall better viewing experience. One thing we can talk about here is his class is actually going to be Pyromancer, because he has to start with the Pyromancy Flame. This is a lot different from other routes who usually start Thief. Oh, he's starting right now. Okay, so thieves usually start out with the Black Fire Bombs, not as their starting gift. They just start out with that because of the Thief class. It's one of the features of the Thief class. And so it allows them to choose Master Key as the starting gift while still having Black Fire Bombs. You can't automatically start with Black Fire Bombs as a Pyromancer, and you have to choose Master Key as your starting gift just because you have to get around the map a little bit more easily than usual. And so you don't actually have any room for Black Fire Bombs. So this boss is usually consists of throwing those 5 Black Fire Bombs that you have as Thief at this Asylum Demon that's going to drop down in the arena. Takes like 5 seconds to kill him, I believe, and so it's pretty fast, but we can't actually do that here. So what altf4 is going to do is he's going to go back and loop around and kill Asylum Demon with his hand axe that he picks up right here after he grabs his Pyromancy Flame.
So one thing I want to add is we start as Pyromancer, not only because we want the Pyromancy flame, but also because it's a level 1, it's only a level 1 class. So you have to start with the Pyromancer to complete the level 1 challenge.
Exactly, EIN. Thief starts with the Master Key by default. Oh, did I say it starts with Black Firebombs? I may have. Thief starts with Master Key by default, which means you can take Black Firebombs as a gift. Sorry, I got them confused. Thank you for catching that. Yes, so this is a bit of a tough area because he has to run through the hall, a very narrow kind of hallway, while there are 3 hollows here. So what you're going to see, he's going to roll here. That's actually going to make the hollows hear him a little bit earlier. And so that hollow aggroed very quickly, which makes this a lot less of a crowded area to squish around.
It's not something many people even know, that enemies actually hear you in this game. There's like sound.
And so he actually got, he did a jumping attack there.
Oh, no.
Oh, he missed a firebomb. So what you actually saw him do was when he plunged on that demon, it counted as 2 attacks, which took the demon down to half HP, which is, of course, faster. Is he quitting out here? Let me actually see what he does. He is.
His ways, oh my.
Yep.
RTA
IGT.
never...
Yeah, so this is actually being timed in RTA. In regular PB attempts, it's timed IGT. In game time, where the time would actually stop when you quit out. And so what a lot of runners are used to doing is quitting out on door animations, because it turns out that when you load back in, it has already skipped the door opening animation. And so for IGT, it will actually save time. For RTA, it doesn't save time. I'm imagining he just did it out of habit. He picked up that soul, and I'll explain how he dupes it later on, but now he's going to Laurentius, who is the merchant that gives you Pyromancy Flame upgrades, that sells them to you essentially. So we have to access him pretty early. Normally in a casual run, you would have to wait until you get to the depths, which is much later on in the game, to access him. But thankfully, due to a glitch that is remaster exclusive, we can actually get to the depths relatively early with an out-of-bounds clip. That I'll explain here. It starts by going on this ladder. He's going to do a little weird turn that boosts him up on the ladder's rungs. And actually, he messed that up, but that's okay. It's very easy to retry. And he's going to try and roll on this rail right here, on this the side of the pillar right here, I guess, or the aqueduct. And then he's going to clip right on here. He's on top of the aqueduct that he's supposed to be walking through. And he's actually talking to the undead merchant from above the aqueduct, which is very weird. He bought purple moss clump, a poison throwing knife, and a few arrows. So 300 arrows actually. And and he died to fall damage. That was unfortunate. So he was actually. I imagine he's going to do it again. Yeah, because.
He has to. No other way.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm just saying. Last time he died, last time we did this commentary, and he did a total different backup strat that confused us. So I want to make sure that he's doing the same thing. So what he clipped into the depths there through this out of bounds weird thing. You'll see him do it again right here. But what he's going to do is he's actually going to throw fireball at what seems like an invisible wall, but it's actually it just you're just not able to see it, but it's actually where Laurentius is trapped. It's where he's actually trapped in barrels, which you would be able to see the barrels trapping him. Oh, he still got it. Okay. You would be able to see the barrels trapping him if you were playing this game casually, but since we're in an out of bounds clip, we don't actually see the fire breaking the barrels, and so we have to just kind of memorize where to throw them. Sometimes you may actually damage Laurentius because the fireball's damage radius is pretty big. Maybe we'll see that here. Okay, yeah, so he didn't actually damage him, but he didn't actually break the boxes, and he knows that because he usually throws 3, and he got a shrug. Okay, but he got it, yeah. So I think there must be some visual cue that shows when those boxes or those barrels are actually broken. And so Laurentius is right here. Yeah, maybe he heard it too. And he does a duplication glitch here. I'm going to explain how that works later on, but you look on the bottom left-hand corner, he has a lot of souls because he duped that 1k soul that he picked up. And now he's going to upgrade his Pyromancy Flame by a lot.
Yeah, and now the Petrus talks. This guy right here, most people don't even know who exists, don't know his name, don't know what he does, especially speedrunners, because his dialogue is very, very long. You don't want to talk to this guy. It takes a very long time to go through his dialogue. You have to enter his covenant to buy his items. It's just, nobody wants to do that. But thanks to a recently discovered glitch, he's now the most important NPC in the game because he sells the homeward spell. And we will use this spell later to wrong warp inside killing the first flame and actually skip the whole game basically.
Yeah, you actually have to like talk to him 3 times. The first time he tells you he doesn't want to speak to you. Next time he apologizes for saying that to you. He gives you an apologetic item. And then the third time you talk to him, he indoctrinates you into his religion in exchange for what turns out to be the homeward spell, which is what saves 10 minutes in this route, which Ellison will explain later. So now to explain the duplication glitch. So one thing you saw that he did before he kind of jumped at Laurentius there was he ended up actually opening his menu and he tried to drop his 333 arrows that he bought from the undead merchant. What this does is it actually stores the quantity that you can drop, which happens to be the amount you have. So 333 as a quantity, it stores it in your game's memory. And then if you do in this game, you could actually open 2 menus at a time. And so he opened the brightness menu, and then behind that, he also opened his inventory menu. And with some weird configurating and some weird finagling, you could close the menus at the same time to access the value that you stored within the memory and use it on an item that you already have. And so in the case that we saw with Laurentius, he duped the 1k soul that he picked up from Asylum 333 times because it's however many arrows that he tried to drop before. He didn't actually drop the arrows, he just had to view the quantity in his game for it to be stored in the memory. And he's not going to actually dupe here. He would normally dupe on the ladder that he's about to climb, but he's not actually going to do it because it's very easy to fall off this ladder and end up getting what is called a stored roll. Basically what happens when you get a stored roll is once you land on the ground, you can normally immediately roll and avoid these dragons lightning once we plunge down, but sometimes the game eats your input because it's a complete meme and you can't actually tell when it's going to happen, and so you have to assume the worst. When the game eats your input, you would basically have the staggered landed animation, which stuns you for a very long time, enough for the dragons here to kill you. He's picking up the, let's actually see if he gets the sword roll. And he didn't. So what happened last time was he died there, and it threw me off completely. And I hadn't realized why he skipped the dupe until I watched it back. So we're back on track here with the second take of this run. He picked up the red tearstone ring. What'd you say?
How did you know he's not going to do? Did you talk to him?
Duck told me, actually. So thank you, Duck. Duck is the one. I'm pretty sure he worked a lot on this route. So he actually did the dupe on the elevator. You saw very quickly that 2 menus actually opened. And so that was, and you saw the 333 quantity actually show up. So he duped the 2k soul that he picked up near that dragon that kind of woke up and got angry while I was explaining the dupe 333 times. So now he attuned homeward, so let me throw it over to Zellison.
Wow, he actually tuned homeward this time. Can you
Insane.
Imagine? So you're gonna actually see the dupes this time around. I mean the warp. So I can actually explain it. Ogres. So we just picked up Grass Clear Shield, by the way, just because it helps you run faster. Not faster, but it regens your stamina, which is pretty nice. He also kills the Black Knight accidentally. Usually do this in any % runs, but not anymore. Well, at least not on SL1, because you can't actually wield the halberds. And you would also usually kill this Titanite Lizard, but not in this route, you don't need to. And we're now coming up towards Andre. So Andre is a blacksmith/merchant in this game that you can talk to and upgrade your weapons and buy some upgrade materials from him. So he's going to buy some Titanite, which is an upgrade material, a weapon, and he's going to upgrade the weapon to +5. And right after that, we're coming up to the actual homeward wrong warp. It's a recently found glitch, and it saves over 10 minutes in the any % categories. And I'll try to explain how it actually works in this game. So the homeward spell that he just attuned teleports you to the last bonfire you rested at. However, because of spaghetti code, Dark Souls, if you change the last bonfire while the teleport is active, the game gets confused, and instead it warps you to the default coordinates of the last bonfire's area. And normally it's impossible to do that, because your character enters a special animation that you shouldn't be able to skip, and it prevents you from doing anything. And this is where the spell swap comes in. Spell swap is a glitch that enables you to use a certain spell's cast animation and stat requirements, but replace the actual effect with another spell's effect. So he right now has Fireball and Homeward attuned, and he's going to try to swap the animation of Fireball with his Homeward spell, and that's going to allow him to cancel that animation early, walk towards the bonfire, and activate it while the warp is actually happening. And let's see if he actually gets it this time around. He's having some trouble right now.
It's actually pretty tricky to plunge.
You have to get on this railing first, and then you have to stand at the very edge, because you need to fall down in order to actually cancel the animation.
Yep. And if you don't plunge, the game actually has a rolling animation at the end of every jump you do in this game, usually, unless you take fall damage from it, which this is not high enough to do. So if he wouldn't plunge there, he would actually automatically roll off the railing after he would land on it. So I think what's actually happening now is he's not getting to it in time. And I think he's being perceptive. He's being anticipative, if that's a word. Yeah, there you go. So it skipped a long walk that he had to do in without if he hadn't done that warp. So it skips a walk that he would have to do down to New Londo here. So next thing we're going to talk about here is moving a bit quickly, but it's a fall damage cancel that helps him get to the bottom of Blighttown. Two things basically that are happening here. One is in this game, if you slide down a slope, once you hit stable ground, fall damage is dealt to you, but it's done in a delayed timing, and so you actually have a little bit of time where you're still alive after you land before you take the fatal fall. Usually the fatal fall damage. In this case, it's fatal. So, and what he just did there was he plunged on the slope, and plunging has some weird properties in this game. It actually thinks it tricks the game into thinking that you've landed earlier than you actually did, and so it allows you to roll midair. And if you time the roll or the iframes of the roll with falling and taking that delayed fall damage, you actually get to avoid the fall damage altogether, and therefore take drops that you normally wouldn't be able to take casually. And so now he's talking to Quaylana. It's like another pyromancer, but much stronger than Laurentius, and she's giving him a stronger pyromancy flame, and also allowing him to attune the two main fire spells that we're going to use on the bosses, which is Great Fireball, the ranged, and the melee version of that, Great Combustion, which is like lighting somebody in front of you with a match on fire. On fire with a match, perhaps that's better.
Damn, man, did you just misgender somebody live on an event?
I'm sorry. I no intention there. Quaylana is very much a woman. And so now we're gonna fight Quaylag. So despite everything, all the souls we just spent on the fire resources we have, we can't actually kill Quaylag with any fire because she's made of fire. And so we have to use the battle axe, and that's why this is one of the longest boss fights in this route. But that's okay, because I didn't really talk about something that I'd like to explain now. If you look on the top left-hand corner, he has he has barely any health, and there's like a little crystal image right below the 0-0. This is because he picked up the red tearstone ring on that Valley of the Drakes tower that I talked about getting the stored roll from its drop. And what the red tearstone ring does, RTSR we like to call it, is when you're at 20% HP or below, you actually have you actually get a damage boost. And so in this game, it turns out to be very easy to set up fall damage or allow enemies to hit you so that you can very easily get into RTSR range. And so the way he set it up here was the pool that you actually land in Blighttown poisons you. And he picked up, he actually bought two just to be safe, but from the Undead Merchant, he bought a purple moss clump, which when you eat it or use it, it reverses your poison effect, so it undoes it essentially. So he waited until the poison took him down to below 20 HP, and then used the purple moss clump to not be taking damage while he was fighting Quaylag right there. And let's see. Now we're gonna ring. Sorry, what'd you say?
He almost died to Quaylag. She bonked him.
Oh, did she? Ooh, rip. Yeah, he actually has less health. And so he just rang the first, actually it's the second bell, but the point is you have to ring two bells in this game to awaken Frampt. Frampt is a King Seeker who Okay, actually, I know a little bit of lore. He says you're basically like the chosen undead in this game. You're like, the prophecy is like this chosen undead is going to come in and start a new fire age and stuff like that. And Frampt is the one, or one of the serpents. You can choose Frampt or another one who we don't see in this game, in this version, or in this run, who basically says that you are like the Fire Lord. So it's your destiny to rekindle the fire after you kill the final boss Gwyn. And more importantly, this is a hollow room actually, and it's, as you can see, it's a little bit hairy, but he took a safety version and blocked the first hollow to allow that hollow to go a little bit further, so he had some room in the doorway. I'm the Fire Lord, chat. Yes, exactly. More importantly, though, he gives you access to Firelink Altar. Firelink Altar becomes a bonfire once you defeat Ornstein and Smo and grab the Lord Vessel and place the Lord Vessel on that altar. And so it turns out you can use that bonfire for Homeward Wrong Warp, which allows you to skip a huge portion of the game, the late game, basically, and nice fireball. and beat the boss relatively quickly, or get to the boss relatively quickly. Oh, he didn't actually miss that. Okay.
Even gargoyles, especially with fireball, can have some troubles for you because
I mean, they're
spells
complete
are very
trolls.
bad in this game. It's really
The
hard
spells
to
are also
actually keep
terrible.
anything.
Shout out to anyone who's played sorcery here and is locked on an enemy, and then literally the things you shoot, the projectiles actually curve away from the enemy you've locked on to.
Not to mention half of the enemies are like programmed to actually dodge your spells, and you can't even hit these things.
And so that was the last of the two bells that he rang. And so now Frampt is awakened. He's not going to go back to Firelink. That's where Frampt is. But he will eventually after we go to Anorlando now, which we have to go through Sen's first to actually get to Anorlando. Sen's Fortress is, for casual players, it's kind of awful and really scary because it's loaded with booby traps like this one. You can actually see the arrows shot there. Any casual player who walked in there for the first time would definitely die to that. But since we're speedrunners, we know how this area acts. There's barely any RNG, basically none, that is associated with this area, and so it's very easy to run through, and it becomes a very autopilot-y section of any speedrun or any route. In either version of the game.
Bosses, where you have to do snake skip or waste 15 years of your time.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. There is some the RNG down to the right here, which is it's not in this route, but sometimes you have to get a snake to break the wall. There was recently a new trick found that skips that RNG, but it's a little bit tricky to do, and so some runners don't do it, and it becomes kind of awful because of the snake control you sometimes. Here we're going to quit out, actually. If you didn't quit out, there would be a boulder rolling down that kind of stairway, I guess, that would hurt him very much and lose a lot of time, but he quit out to reset the position of the boulder, and that allows him to continue the run up after loading back in.
Yeah, so now you know Miyazaki watches Indiana Jones.
What was it, Raiders of the Lost Ark or something? Ooh, nice snake RNG. So that's a complete meme. That snake usually stands there and channels up an attack, which allows you to punch her. But that snake did a kind of a jumping attack, and it turns out you actually have to stand on the left nook there of the doorway and wait for the snake to jump around you. And I'm pretty sure it loses time. And I've definitely had it throw off my pendulum cycles before, and I've definitely died to it indirectly. That was great. I'm glad we got to see that live. So now we're going to talk about Iron Golem. Iron Golem is a pretty easy boss to kill because he has a scripted falling animation if you deal with him correctly, and he could actually fall off of the arena you fight him in. So two objectives is, one, to get him in a good position so that when he falls, he'll actually fall down and die quickly. That's Bob. We hate him. He blocks the way like that a lot, and so other routes he's really awful, but in this route he's okay. You can just punch him. And we have to deal 200 damage to him below his knees. It's 400, excuse me. Thank you, Zelson. 400 damage below his knees to make him in a wobble animation here. He's actually stunned. And then he used Great Combustion to deal, is it 400 more damage or 200?
200. It's 400.
Then 200, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so 400 and then 200, which made him fall down. Yeah, sorry, I do not know my numbers apparently. And so that was relatively easy with fire magic.
Yeah,
And
which is one of those bosses. It's actually pretty easy with magic, but it's not too bad without magic either. You can now see him running towards the bonfire. You wouldn't usually do this, but he's taking the safety approach. He's not gonna wager his event PB. Of course, he could actually PB on this event. On painting Guardian RNG and everything like that. He's gonna take
I mean, he still might because he died. He died last run.
He died a few times.
Oh, he died here as well. Although it probably... Yeah, but I wonder... He might still be ahead considering he didn't have to reroute. I'm not sure. Oh, he's... Okay, so here he's actually duping 99 humanity. So you may ask, wait a second, Commander Ake. He didn't try to drop 99 of anything. How does he have 99 as a quantity in his memory? And I will answer you. It is because he went through a loading screen. In this game, if you go through a loading screen, the game automatically sets that stored quantity to 99. Very conveniently, as it turns out. And so he went through a bunch of loading screens. By now, he's used it when he dark signed, he's done it when he's quit out, and so the game definitely has 99 or had 99 stored as the quantity in its memory, and so he was able to use the humanity that he picked up 99 times. Okay, but who asked? Well, you should be asking if you're paying attention. Where's my insane shield explanation, Zella?
Right.
Busy roasting me instead of...
He's actually running with 2 shields because it's easier to punch off those painting guardians in front of you. Then you just with your fist. He just takes the shield in his hands. He's running with 2 shields at once.
This Zella guy's heckin' rude. Yeah, I agree. I gave him a shout out. And this is what I get. This gargoyle can be an absolute troll, by the way. In some runs, you actually have to run down that spiral staircase over there. And that gargoyle very much likes to hit you in midair so that the fall damage you take normally after falling down the spiral staircase ends up killing you. It's a great feeling. So now we're coming across the Batwing Demon. First, we have to roll that attack because he gave bad RNG. Thanks so much, Sentinel. We're coming across this area, which is kind of tough because we have to roll that attack too, because we're walking across a balance beam, very narrow pathway, where these Batwing Demons can throw lightning spears at you from behind. And so one thing altf4 is going to do is he's actually looking behind him here, and you see that one right down, that far Batwing Demon, he actually just threw a lightning attack at him, and altf4 knew that he saw it from behind, and so he strafed a bit. That's exactly why you would do something like that.
He's waiting for the arrow guy to stop shooting at him right now.
Yep, and he's pushing him off with the battle axe.
Nice.
Yep.
The best way.
Very nice. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate that it takes 3 hits there. And he's going to take another safety bonfire, I imagine, because the next fight is probably the hardest boss fight in the run and arguably the game. Ornstein and Smo is basically a 2v1. You fight Ornstein, who is a small but very agile and very strong knight, versus Smo, who is this much larger figure, but he's slower, but he has a huge hammer that has ridiculous unfair hitboxes, may I add. And so this fight can be kind of awful, but that's why he took the safety bonfire. It's actually very tempting to take it during PB attempts too, but that's slow, so good players don't do that, am I right?
Of course. You just called altf4 a bad player or something?
No, he's great. It's a marathon, so he has every excuse. I said PB attempts, although this fight's Alright, so let's see if we can commentate this fight with better frame rate. Ornstein's going to give a walking opener. In this route, it's very easy to respond to that because he has fire damage. Ooh, that was unfortunate. He actually had to block his attack there.
I think he blocked on purpose. That looked good.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
This might have been faster. That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I guess so. And now he's just hurting Smo. Smo is going to be a troll. That's a very awful attack. It's a lightning attack. You literally have to walk away from him to not die from that. And now it's just finishing him off.
And that's unfair hitbox right there. He can't get through it. He's gonna miss the elevator. Oh no, he's not. Nice.
He got it actually. Yeah. So that elevator starts moving up as soon as Smo dies, and so if you kill Smo a lot further away from where he was, there's a danger of you actually missing that elevator and losing time. But in that case, he killed him close enough to the elevator, so it was fine. And now you see why he just missed her. Yep. He was supposed to throw that throwing knife and kill Guinevere. Yeah, but
Firelink
not a huge deal.
in like 20 seconds or something.
Yep, and notice he used the homeward bone out because the dark sign would have actually taken any of the resources you have. So it's to keep the 99 humanity, which I will explain after Zelson gets to homeward one warp. Now, if you actually already explained it,
but I can actually add that the default position for the Lord Vessel Bonfire is actually inside Kiln for some reason, and that's what allows you to skip the gate that you're supposed to have like 4 Lord Souls to open. You're not gonna do that in this route. You're just gonna open it. It's gonna run through basically.
Yep.
Like, let's take a look if he actually gets the warp faster this time around.
Yeah, and the point of wrong warp basically is that it warps you to a default location. So the first time he did it, the default location was right where he ended up spawning in New Londo, which is a lot closer to Blighttown. And here it's in the Kiln, which Zelson explained. It basically skips the Lord Souls, and he did exactly what he did last run, which is throw a fireball at the rail.
He actually jumped off accidentally.
And he jumped off, yeah. This is unfortunate because in Prepare to Die Edition, there are 2 versions of this game actually. Prepare to Die Edition is the older version of this game before Remastered came out. It has a lot more glitches, arguably a higher skill ceiling, and a lot more tech. But that being said, Remastered is still unique because the dupe that I talked about before, it's exclusive to Remastered, and it allows you to get souls very early on, which is why early sorcery routes exist, like the all bosses one used today. So he's going to take a hit from this Black Knight, and that puts him in RTSR range. And so 2 things happened here. One thing is he had 99 humanity and armor, which is the reason he didn't die from that attack and got into RTSR range instead, so that's great. And also, he started toggling as soon as he got hit by that attack. And what the toggling animation does is it actually prioritizes that animation over a hit or staggered animation. And so he actually saved time there, because if he wasn't toggling, his character would have gotten stunned by that hit as he took damage. The other thing toggling does, and that he's been doing it throughout the run, is whenever you start sprinting in this game, it takes a while for your character to actually get to full speed and accelerate. And so you see that every time he's sprinting, he's actually weapon toggling, which is like that little movement he does with his right hand. And it counts. The reason why he's doing that is because it counts as an upper body animation that ends up decreasing the time it takes to accelerate to full speed. I believe it's by 3 frames. So it's a very minuscule time loss that saves a bit of time over the course of the run, and it's just something for the runners to do.
Green fight, buggers, bury him, backstabbing, repost him, fireball. This is one time in the game whenever enemies jumping away from the fireball actually is helpful, because you get counter hit damage, which is required to finish this fight early.
Yep.
He times his fireball exactly when Green starts jumping back, and that actually gives him extra damage. And now
let's see, this should be the last hit.
Yep.
And there we go. Poggers. So, nice gesture menu. Beautiful. Very nice. That's something no-hit runners do. I've never seen a speedrunner do that.
Some tutorial videos on YouTube, dude.
Yeah. That was a really good run. It wasn't the best because he ended up having that death in the depths, but I'm pretty sure he's going to beat the time that he set last time, to be honest.
And it's actually a world record, by the way.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it is a world record actually, because he's ahead of everyone so far in this category, and his PB isn't entirely optimized because of the death he had, but that was definitely faster than before. So everyone give a hand to altf4 doing this for a second time, and this time with very good frame rate.
Yeah. What's happening?
Estimate was probably given. Yeah, that's a good point, Zaz. A lot of people brought that up. This estimate was 45 minutes, it was probably given before the 10-minute save, Homeward Wrong Warp, was actually found. And so he's bound to finish Underestimate, to be honest. Yeah, watching the cutscene. So this is the credit screen. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you're a newcomer who didn't see this last time, welcome and thank you for watching. If you've watched it again, thank you for doing that. I don't know why you did that, but thank you. And we really appreciate your time. If you're interested in learning about this game or learning about how to run this game, join the Speed Souls Discord and check out the Speed Souls Wiki. It's just a really helpful community that really helps you get started and really helps you develop as a runner. I'm speaking from experience here. 8 months ago, I didn't know what I was doing, and 8 months later, I still don't know what I'm doing, but I apparently know enough to ramble about this game for 30 minutes. And I can sometimes run. I don't run Remastered anymore. I run the Prepare to Die edition. So there are, one thing I also want to mention, there are two versions of this game, Remastered and Prepare to Die. I said Prepare to Die has a little bit more tech. So the glitches are a little bit different between Remastered and Prepare to Die. So that is one choice you'll have to make if you start speedrunning this game. There are tons of videos and marathon runs of Remastered and Prepare to Die edition, though, so you can definitely get an experience for what each game looks like.
Yeah, but imagine running Prepare to Die edition. It's like 20 years old. Remastered is 3 years old. Run that thing, right? Am I right?
You want to go down this rabbit hole? I will say that there are pros and cons to running either, and it could be completely down to preference. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.